How many pulls are we guessing?
I got 5.
5 pulls? I'm saying 3. Yeah.
I'm gonna go 7.
All right.
In today's video, guys, we're gonna go over basically an unboxing of the SYX Moto 40 MT-2, which is a 40cc 4-stroke little bitty kid's dirt bike. Your age range is going to be probably from 5 to 8 years old. We're obviously much older than that, so we're going to try to drive it too, but we do have a young kid rider that's going to test it out for us, give us the skinny on it, you know, how it handles, all that stuff. But mainly today, we're going to rip it open out of the box, set it up, tell you what tools you're going to need, just if we run into any issues, you know, if there's something damaged or whatnot, or what to look out for. This is going to be the green one. I believe there was a black, blue, green, and red, and then they actually put a sticker over the one that was selected. So I think we got a razor blade. We're going to go ahead and start cutting the box open. SYX Moto was kind enough to send us this bike basically to test it out and review it to see, you know, if it holds up to our standards.
And for the price point too, I mean,
right.
It's on sale right now, what, $379?
I think it's like $379.
So
less than $400.
Yeah, I mean, something that the kid can ride around on. The
big seller on this too is it's not a 2-cycle, so you don't have to mix gas and oil.
Right, and it should be a little more durable. It should last a little longer than the 2-stroke.
Right.
With like sand and dirt and dust.
Packaging so far actually looks really pretty nice.
Good. Really good.
There's gonna be a little bit of sun glare, guys, but I'd rather have the sun glare than no light. So I'll try to do my best to get you guys in here. We have 3 of us working on right now. I'm basically just gonna hold the camera while these guys set it up, and I'll show you what's what as we go along.
Really nice honeycomb kind of accent.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess filler to keep it steady in there.
It looks like it comes pretty much fully assembled besides wheels.
Handlebars. Wheels are on it. Wheels are.
Oh, really?
It might be bolted.
Oh, so they just lifted it right on out.
So if you're not a big, burly, muscular guy, the move might be to cut down the side of the box or the front of the box and kind of peel it out.
Yeah, I would definitely make a cut down the side of the box.
Oh, look at that.
They put cardboard in
Let's
it,
get a
so
shot of that too.
Wow, all the graphics are stickered over.
Yep.
Nice.
Nice front fender.
Actually looks way shinier than I anticipated. Are those pneumatic? They are pneumatic tires. You just got to put air in them. Okay. Some of them have like never flats or like plastic.
Oh yeah.
These are actually pneumatics.
I'm gonna find out.
Yeah. So you have to put the wheel in. Gotcha. Okay. So it is resting on
The rear wheel is in, front tire is not.
So zip tie cut. We got it zipped.
Yeah, hold on to these. I like the polka dotted.
Bar pad?
Zip tie holds the
Bar pad, Mark?
Yep, the bar pad.
Polka dotted, nice.
Polka dotted.
Should I pull this?
The shock's just got to get bolted in too.
Shock just needs a bolt in it.
Yep.
That's cool. They squish it all down.
That's everything there. Good.
Yep. We'll let it rest for now. It sits. The engine it's like so flat. It sits right on it.
Look at that.
It actually looks pretty sweet with the gear case. It's got like a reduction box here.
Yeah, I'll show you guys
A little
this.
jack shaft mechanism, pretty much.
Yep. And now these, like I said, these bikes are designed not to go fast or accelerate fast. They're meant for somebody that's learning how to ride a dirt bike. Like you rode a bicycle, but you want a motorized bicycle, basically.
Got a lot of nephews and.
Max speed on this bike is 20 miles an hour. We will test that theory. We'll put a GPS on them.
Kid, not with us.
Not with us, with a young rider.
We'll give it a chance to actually win that fight.
But 20 miles an hour is a good,
And it comes
good
with a
speed.
tether too, so in case the kid falls off.
Very nice. I will definitely go over the features when we get the bike fully assembled.
I want to see right here would be a throttle limiter, so you could tighten that in, and I feel like the more you tighten it in, that'd be less throttle.
Correct. Definitely we'll go over all the features once the bike
Look
is
at that.
together.
All the decals are covered. Who's this guy?
The seat actually looks
Loctite?
like a gripper seat on it, kind of.
Or no?
One replacement lubrication oil every time, please.
Well, maybe for the gear case.
How much oil it takes?
No, for the gear case, or maybe the engine
How
oil.
much oil it takes? Yeah, they give you a bottle.
We'll check the owner's manual.
Yeah.
Toolkit.
There's the axle. Front, yeah, because the rear one's already in. Front axle bolt. Do you want to get the front axle bolt in right away, and then we can put on the kickstand?
Yeah, and then we got some other plastics.
You need there's a dongle for the
Dango and Dango.
Vent cap. With a green anodized
Yeah.
top on it?
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
like
cool.
the green rims too. That's a cool touch on them.
Are they metal or plastic?
I'd say metal.
Is it aluminum?
It's so hard.
It's aluminum.
Comes with a full toolkit to put all the parts on.
Spark plug wrench
17
too.
wrench, 17, 13, 14, 12, 8, 10. Don't even need tools. They send you in this pouch. Everything for the bar.
Probably advise brake cleaning off the rotor.
They just put that on there so it doesn't rust, guys. They
Yep.
put a little bit of oil on the rotor.
Mhm.
It would most likely burnish itself in, but the rims look to be aluminum. I don't think they're plastic. It doesn't look plastic.
It feels if you know what I mean. But
Yeah,
that's not
that's-
a plastic
I think
sound
that's metal.
Spacers. I'm gonna grab a little grease.
for the axle bolt. Yep.
Yeah. Just because.
But yeah, for the price point, guys, I mean, less than $400 right now on sale. I will have a link to this bike in the description, and I'll also probably put it in the pinned comment if you're looking through the comments of this video. Definitely go check it out if you're in the market for a bike for a young rider, or if you're a parent watching this and you want to get one for your young kid. One thing we're doing, guys, is we're putting a little bit of grease on the axle bolt that is not supplied with the bike, but you should definitely do that to, preserve
The bearings.
the bearings and everything, and just not to rust tight if you ever have to service it. There was actually parts available for these bikes too, guys. So if there was something that breaks while riding it, it's not like you can't get parts for it. There was parts on SYX Moto's website. So super cool that they actually have a little bit of part support. That's one of the hardest things with Chinese and non-Japanese machines is the part support.
What we did to get the spacers to fit in there, because the forks are a pretty tight fit, pried in, so you have to kind of pull them apart a little bit to get the spacer to fit on this side. You have to put the spacer on the caliper side on first, because otherwise you can't fit it in between the rotor and the bottom of the fork.
Gotcha. The manual does specify to put the bolt in from the caliper side across, so that would be from left to right when you're sitting on the bike,
And just get a little,
just so you guys are aware. The instructions, they're about like a front and back page of the manual, so not a lot of instruction on there, so hopefully this video might be a little bit better to understand than the instructions. The only other thing that we're doing right now is just putting the upper shock mounting bolt on, and that's also going to tighten the chain and everything as well. I assume we'll have to compress the shock down a ways. Oh, now you got her. It goes way up front there. Oh yeah, you're right there. Right about there, guys.
Let's pick up a little bit.
A little bit. There you go. Yep, because it's the nuts on that side on the bottom, so we'll put them the same way. She sits pretty stanced in the old rear.
Yeah.
and it is a nylon lock nut, so it's gonna get tight right away.
Nice.
So
Nice.
where's that 10? And
Foldable foot pegs, I see.
Yes.
With nubbies?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Throw something for the shoes to sit on.
Right. Highly recommend wearing closed-toed shoe, not an open foot. So what our mechanic is wearing right now, Crocs, would probably not be ideal. You're going to want to wear something like I'm wearing, like a work shoe or a riding boot, or anything that's not going to get your feet exposed, because obviously there's a moving chain. There's stuff that you're going to encounter.
I'm just pulling the bar clamps off so we can get the handlebars set on there.
Gotcha.
Caleb's gonna rip his finger off and the very good tape that they wrapped everything up. with,
Wraps
so it
really
doesn't
good,
get
guys. No
damaged.
dirt's gonna get in there.
We are using the supplied Allen hex key that
Just to
they
show you that.
came with it.
Everything's supplied.
You could use your own tool, but we're just going to, for this example, just show you the kit.
Might as well.
Right.
It's in the pouch.
You should be able to technically assemble the whole bike with the included kit. So
Yeah.
let's prove that theory. So far, so good, guys. You guys just got to tighten the axle bolt
The
yet?
hardest part was probably it takes two people
To do that front end.
Put the whole front forks just a little tad bit apart to get them spacers in there.
And it is nice to have another person to get the rear shock in too, because it'd be quite a.
If you guys are looking right now, you can see the gnarled portion of the bars. Obviously, that's going to go where the bar clamps are, and that kind of is centered for you.
And this would just bolt on with these two Allens right here for the front.
Exactly.
Fender.
And that plate should also go on, I think, at the same
Correct.
time.
Yes,
Yeah.
the number plate.
And that would
Would
actually.
you like me to put blue Loctite on these?
No, because you're gonna be. You might need.
You might need to adjust them, so it's totally up to you guys. What I would recommend is find a good spot where they are. Then you could always Loctite them later. For now, we're not going to Loctite those bolts, but in the perfect setting, you may want to use some blue thread locker.
So yeah, for the number plate, it's only going to bolt in with one bolt on the top.
Yep.
So you're going to put those two down in there on these two little clips right here.
Yep.
And then, yeah, through the paper. I'm going to have to pull on the paper a little bit to get the bolt started. But
sweet.
What you're going to have to do, though, is tighten the first one on there first, and then put the plate on, and then go through.
Right, because you can't have access to
you won't have access to the bottom.
Right. So it's a little tough with the Allen key and like how big Mark's hands are to get, I mean, the gap in the bars is very, very small. So
I'm just kind of hand doing them
by feel here.
So I'll put that one in.
And then you'll have to just basically take your
just
levers
center your gnarls.
Well, you probably have to go, yeah, split the difference basically.
Yeah. Metal fuel tank.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Less chance of damage.
I mean, the walls don't look bad either. I mean, really.
Looks like seal bearings for the stem up there from what I can see.
Yeah. What I would do is I'd double check the torque on this bolt and this nut right here.
For sure.
That's going to hold your front end to your main frame.
Yep. Very important.
And I see that it's put plastic bolts in here.
Yep, there's a whole there's a
kit.
baggie. We have to put the bolts for the plastics. These here too, so looks like kind of all the plastic bolts.
Gotcha.
Wow, this thing's actually.
And I mean, Mark is like 5'10", 185 pounds. So let's see what technical specs say. Oh, max weight, guys, is 165. So
I would technically be fine.
me and you can just about ride it.
I cannot, sadly, guys. I'm sorry.
So there is the specs, guys. If you're curious, like I said, it's a 4-stroke 40cc. There's some of the horsepower specs, tire sizes, fuel tank capacity, dimensions. I'm trying to look for seat height on it. I will do a tape measure of the seat height for you guys. I know that's one of the very important things that many new owners are going to want to know based on your operator's height. So when we get it all assembled, guys, tire pressures will measure the ride height.
What you want to do, guys, is line up this top hole. Because it's only going to go as high as the bolt is there.
Right.
You know,
right.
It's going to touch the metal.
Stem bolt is sticking out. So you just want to go touching that, and that's just going to give you enough to get that front or upper mounting bolt in.
Correct.
Okay, try to. This sun.
Run into any issues with threaded holes? Everything good?
No, bolts went in perfect.
So that's good, guys.
And, yeah.
Sometimes.
Could be troublesome.
Yeah, some bolts don't want to go in.
Oh yeah, plenty tight, guys. You're basically going to want to go where it naturally wants to lay, as a general rule of thumb there. The main thing is the throttle cable. You want to make sure that's absolutely not restricted and pinched. And I'll show you guys a very important step to check throttle cable binding. What you're going to want to do is you're going to put the plastic under the metal bracket. We actually bent the tab down a little bit to make everything line up.
So in your toolkit, get a bunch of nuts, bolts, and washers. You'll see that some of the bolts are shorter and some are longer. The shorter bolts will go into the top
Yes, of the gas tank.
through the actual fuel tank, to whereas the longer ones you'll want on the little ears that come off.
Yep.
And you'll want a washer. You'll see there's a really large hole on top, and if you put the nut through, it's gonna suck through the little ear on the tank. So you put a washer on those. Yep. Just for speed, we have
socket.
some other sockets and wrenches. It can be done with the kit, but just for our purposes, it's a little easier to.
It will take you twice as long as it is,
Yeah.
for sure. So far, our total time was probably, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
I'd say.
Only other thing, the rear shock hole we tightened up. We did check the lower bolt as well.
Yep, which is this
that was
one right
tight.
here.
The rear axle bolt, that was tight.
We tightened this.
We still got to tighten
Nope,
it.
that's tight.
Oh, you guys did
Tighten the front axle bolt. We checked the stem bolt. It's all tight.
Oh, perfect.
Everything's golden. We adjusted the levers. The throttle, the only thing I see with the throttle is it's pretty hard to twist. So for somebody that's younger, I mean, that's...
Could be both good and bad because then you can't pull it too easy. And
It's hard to whiskey throttle the thing, so you can't, like, crack it and flip it over. But, like I said, you're going to have to work to really accelerate all the way. So.
I think once you get it pulled, it's not that hard.
And it might wear itself in and get easier, you know.
One other note when putting the front fender and this little plastic cover on, the main bolt that runs through your frame there, it does hit on there.
Yep.
So you kind of have to push up a little bit on the plastics to get your top bolt in.
Right.
Not anything out of the ordinary. You just gotta. It is all slotted. You just have to push up a little bit on it to make that bolt go in.
You don't need a washer on these top tank bolts because there's already like a recess in there.
Right.
So right there, you don't need a washer.
And those don't need to be Hulk tight, guys. Just snug.
Nope. So just a little side note here. The plastic that goes through the little ear on the tank, the hole is a tad small. You do kind of have to thread it through there first because it is kind of difficult to get the bolt through, but you almost thread it through it, and then it does go, but the hole is not quite big enough for the bolt to just slide through it like the rest of them.
Which is nice because then the plastic doesn't fall out when you take it off.
We're checking the triple clamps. They were kind of loose. I wouldn't say they were loose, but we definitely got about a turn at least out of each one. Same size Allen as everything else, so it'd be here and here on each side. So we checked that just to make sure. We still have to put the 2 in the rear fender.
And then one underneath too.
Yes, one under the seat, which I'll show you.
Kind of hold the plastics on. So the right one was in there, and I put the left one on there to match. It is different. You'll see that this is different than all the rest of the bolts that we just put in.
Yep. Alrighty, guys, we're going ahead and inflating the tires. The tires say, what, 60 pounds?
Yeah, it had 5 in it. Maybe.
Yeah. So you're going to have to find access to an air compressor or some way to get them aired up.
Big no Dango.
And an air pressure gauge to check it.
You can get like a $1 gauge at parts.
Yeah.
Any automotive parts store, Walmart.
And then we peeled off the protective covering on the decals. So 60 front, 60 rear. Like I said, last thing we're doing is adjusting the chain, guys. In my personal opinion, that chain is way too tight. There's not an inch of slack in it at all. And when you sit on the bike, guys, it even tightens it more.
And when you put a load on it by, revving the engine, it's going to tighten it.
What it's going to do, guys, is it's going to prematurely wear out that sprocket bearing on that gear case.
You can play a guitar with it.
So what we're going to do there, guys, I'll show you how to do that. Loosening the axle bolt, and then you're going to play with these adjusters and just back them off a little bit to get the wheel to move forward to get slack in the chain.
You take a Sharpie and mark the nut and just go one turn on each.
Yep.
Until there's enough slack in it. There we go.
So we're just getting that nut loosened up a ways. You don't have to take the bolt out or nothing. You just got to get it loose so the wheel can slide forward and back. Just about there.
You're good. As long as you can turn.
Yep, if you can spin the axle
bolt.
Marking the nut and the adjuster frame rail part. Then you know exactly one turn, and you can do it on each side. Keep the wheel straight. 10 millimeter. What you could do, guys, is put it up on a little stand, a little basket or something too, to keep the wheel off the ground. What we're going to do is just kind of poke the tire forward a little bit.
How many turns you go? One?
Just one.
Okay.
Just one. If it's too loose, maybe go a half.
Maybe go
You
a
should
half.
probably go a half turn.
Perfect.
There we go.
Now,
You got to watch though, because it could tighten up potentially when you tighten the.
now, don't forget to tighten the axle bolt. You may want to use a larger wrench than what is supplied with the kit. Just because of that wrench, your leverage is not going to be that good. Next thing is going to be checking the engine oil. Before you start this engine for the first time, make sure you check the engine oil.
You should really check it before every ride too.
Yes.
That's what the sticker said that we pulled off the ripcord.
Yep. There is also a warning decal that says check oil before first use.
That's right on the pull start.
Yep. So you'll see it.
Make sure the bike's level.
Yep. And looks good to me, right?
Yep.
Yep. Right up in there. We're full. Basically, you're going to be all the way up that little short dipstick.
Yep.
If it's pouring out of the spout, it's too full. And if you can't see it on the dipstick, it's not enough. So it's very simple that way.
It's the easiest thing to do to save the whole life of the engine. Because if there's no oil in the engine, you're going to blow it up.
Only thing we're missing is a little bit of non-ethanol premium gasoline. You don't want to run ethanol in these things because the carburetors will gum up. It might not gum up right now, but next year when you take it out to use it again, it's going to be all full of nasty gas, and it won't start for you. So make sure you run non-ethanol gas, and you'll have very, very little issues. Measuring the seat height from the ground up, looking like
on the dot, pretty much.
About between 24 and 25 inches.
So 2 feet?
So if that gives you a good idea of your operator height.
Yeah, 2 feet, I'd say.
Yeah, between, like I said, plus or minus an inch on 2 feet. That's with the tires at 60 pounds. The shock at the stock setting out of the box. What we're going to do is we're going to take it out in our front yard. We put premium gas in it. We're going to pump the primer. The manual states several times, you're going to pump it until the primer's full and it's not getting any more gas in the primer. It's probably going to be a good 5 to 7 times. And that's each time you're going to start the bike.
When you first go to start it cold, you're going to have to choke it and prime it. So there's actually an arrow on here that says down and then choke. So press that down. What's that going to do is it closes off the intake. And then we're going to prime it.
Which is on the bottom.
This bulb right here.
Yep.
And mind you, the tank was bone dry.
It's going to take several primes.
I see it coming.
Yep. We keep priming it. Yep, and we got gas in our bowl. We keep priming it. And that is about enough.
And if it doesn't start, you can always try to prime it more. But
what Mark was saying is you'll see the gas coming out of the return line back to the tank. Then you know your carburetor has all filled up and it's going back to the tank. You can never flood these engines. You can pump that primer 50 times. It's never going to flood the engine unless there's a damaged component inside the carburetor. But once again, there is a tether switch, which anytime you are riding it, guys, have that hooked onto your person, as in like
pant loop, or
if it's a kid, maybe you find a little wrist strap. You can buy a wrist strap and you can clip it on. Something like that would be.
They have a chest protector or something too. There might be a little clip on there.
But I know they make little wrist bracelets almost where you clip it onto.
Like Velcro it or something. Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is get the choke on.
But all the brakes did work. I kind of just did that and
perfect. Yeah, you want to go through the preliminary checks the first time you ride it. And like I said, that throttle limiter.
And you can see if it's pulling wide open too. It'll hit that stop there actually. So yeah, we're pulling wide open.
To reiterate, this is the throttle stop. You'd loosen the jam nut, tighten that in to limit the throttle throw.
Right.
So you can't go wide open. If somebody is beginning and you want them to only go 5 miles an hour, you'd push that in.
So then wide open will only be 5.
This silver screw, like I said, is the idle speed. So if the engine would be idling high where it wants to creep on its own, you're going to back that screw counterclockwise out. If it's idling too low and it's barely staying idling, you're going to turn it in just a skosh. You never want to turn that more than a half turn each way at one time.
And you want to do it when the bike's running too.
Right, and it's warmed up. How many pulls are we guessing?
I got 5.
5 pulls? I'm saying 3. Yeah.
I'm going to go 7.
All right.
3 pulls. 3 pulls. Nice and quiet, guys. A choke. We slowly take the choke off. Looking at the bike here, guys, this little screw is your idle speed.
And this up here is going to limit the throttle pull.
Correct.
And mind, this bike's brand new, so you're going to want to try to...
Yep. You don't want to take this thing and run it wide open or out of the box. You want to take it kind of easy. Oh, nice. Quiet. You're not going to make any of your neighbors angry driving this. Nice and quiet. I'd say you're ready to take it for a first ride. Do it, hey, guys. Now, one thing I was going to tell you is doing a left-right with the handlebars to check your throttle cable for binding. So always do a left-right initially out of the box, because if there's any binding in the throttle cable, you'll catch it before your person hops on it.
Right. If you're going into a turn, you want to slow down more times than not. So then, say if it sticks wide open, then you'll kind of shoot right through the turn.
Exactly. So right now, perfectly fine, no issues. Obviously, guys, our rider right now is quite big for the machine.
Too,
yes. So when we have our younger kid rider hop on it, you guys will see Go ahead and operate the kill switch once. So the way that works, guys, is it's not an actual push button. You hold it down until the engine shuts off. Correct. Also, you rip the tether cord off, it will also die.
Same job.
Try to restart it.
Really easy to pull too.
Yeah,
like
I mean, how much effort?
Strokes, pull really hard.
2 fingers?
Oh yeah, I literally
Nice.
Yeah.
So that is the SYX Moto 40cc dirt bike, guys. Riding video of this coming soon, but this is the initial startup, and you guys have seen the unboxing. So very, very neat little unit. And started awesome out of the box. Ran like $1 million.